Well, hello, ladies. I am excited to get to teach you kind of the last thing on coaching yourself. Not the last thing, believe me, it's like an ongoing process. I've been coaching myself for like doing this type of coaching as far as utilizing the model and thought process, probably, I think 5 years almost now. Yeah, 5 years, 2015. So 5 years I've been doing this. And before that, I did other forms of improvements that I've worked on. But this process that I love, that I've been certified in and coaching clients, I fell in love with it because I had done other things for about a good 3 years before that. And when I came across this, it just clicked for me really well. And because it did, and it just made me want to learn more, that is why I dove in to become a coach and actually coach on this process and coach my clients, because it made that kind of big of an impact for me, that it's just something I just love. It's so applicatable. Like I can apply it to anything in my life, and I love that. So anyways, my little spill. So the number 5 tip on coaching yourself, we are talking about creating the results in your life and what that looks like, and how it kind of comes about in creating the results. And where is that coming from? Like, is it just that, you throw things out? Because if you hear people, a lot of times people set goals in their life of what they're trying to accomplish. And so when you're setting that goal, which is great, I totally believe in setting goals. I think that's a great thing to do. It just gives you structure, direction. It gives your brain direction of what something that you're trying to accomplish, which is important, because if we don't guide our brain, it guides us. And that's not very good. So, because believe me, my brain would guide me to a lot of places I probably shouldn't be if I let it. So anyway, so that is kind of, having a goal is great because it gives you something to focus on that you're working towards. And so that would be considered like a result that you're wanting to attain in your life. And it's interesting because some people, right, will set a goal and they'll just, bam, they'll be there. And other people set a goals and they just struggle with it. And so what is the disconnect, right? What's going on that these results that I'm wanting so badly in my life, I'm not creating? So that is what we're going to explore a little bit. I can go deeper with this. There's a lot more to this content, but I'm going to go real surface this time, just because that's kind of the concept of these 5 videos that I'm doing, this one being the 5th one, about coaching yourself, is kind of that basic information so that you can start to utilize that in your life. And in this group, for those that are in the group, because I do post this on a couple other places, but for in the group that I have on Facebook on Reclaim Hope Here, that is what we do. We explore this and we add more information on this as well. So I want to add more value out in the world and start to create more concepts, and from concepts that I've learned, because the model is something I learned. This is something I was coached on how to do and be able to apply it to my clients. And it's something that I've personally utilized as well. And so that is kind of the evolving, right, of life coaching, is that whole process. So when it comes to creating that result, right, why is it that somebody can get there and other people are not getting there? And I want to talk a little bit about that. And so here we have the model that I talked about a couple times in the other videos as well. So we have, see the circumstance, we have the thought, we have the feeling that we have from that thought that creates in our body, right? Because the circumstance is neutral. It's just kind of basic, it's fact information, like this happened. So there's no emotion attached to a circumstance, but we have a thought about that circumstance, and it's going to create a feeling, an emotion in our life. So here we are, the feeling. And then that feeling is going to catapult the action that we're going to start taking, whether it's inaction or action. Either way, right? Depending on the emotion that is creating. And then of course, from that action, from doing, we're going to get a result from that. So where's that result coming from, right? When we're setting that goal, how do we know we're going to get that result? So I want to explore that with you today. So here's something I want to talk about, because this is something that's near and dear to my heart as a coach. Because specifically, I love coaching women. I say women, but actually ladies. I want to say ladies now, because that's kind of my thing, is that I feel that ladies create that leading lady kind of role in their life. And that's what I want to do to help you as your coach. I want to help you create that leading lady role. So you're not always being in a reactive mode. You're being more of a response mode and just creating and doing that in your life. So you're becoming that leading lady. So I coach ladies who struggle with codependency, especially those that kind of struggle with that, and they have a loved one that has an addiction. And so when you have a loved one that has an addiction, you have codependency behaviors, there can be some friction in that relationship. There's going to be a lot of friction in that relationship sometimes. And I know that from experience because that is part of my life story. And I've evolved in that life story into different phases in my life. Things haven't gone away. They're not vanished. They're still there. But my thought processes and the way that I show up in my life are way different than when I had those codependent behaviors and patterns in my life that were not serving me. And so what made the difference, right? How did I create a different goal, a different outcome in my life? So I want to talk, first of all, because I talked about someone that has an addiction. So I'm just going to say that your husband is just the circumstance, right? So your husband is the circumstance. That's it. There's no more. So your husband's use. So I would honestly, I would love to get more specific with this with clients, but for right now, I'm going to keep this very general. So we're going to say husband's use, whatever that is, whether it's alcohol, drugs, pornography, spending, gaming, shopping, whatever the addiction it is that he has in his life. So my husband's use. And so we have a thought about my husband's use, right? I know I did. I had some really good thoughts. So some of my thoughts were, he doesn't care. So this would be something he doesn't care. So that would be a thought that I would have in the past on the regular. So, right, he doesn't care. If he's using, then he must not care. And because I have this thought, he doesn't care, the emotion I would say it was more than just sadness. It was more like a loss feeling. So I felt like hopelessness. Hence the reason why, right, in this group, hopelessness, right? This group is called Reclaim Hope here, right? Because I knew what hopelessness felt like, and I just needed a little bit of hope. And so here we go. So this feeling is a hopelessness that we have. And from this feeling of hopelessness, what's the action? So I isolate. I would isolate. I would eat, right? I would eat food because I didn't want to think about it. I'd isolate, eat. So obviously emotional eating. I would even go exercise. I would exercise to kind of ignore it. Like I'd go for a run or I'd go do something, I'd leave. So part of the leaving. So I'd isolate myself, but then also I'd leave by myself. So I'd be getting away from it. I was not available emotionally, so unavailable when it came to love and anything like that towards my husband or anything, or towards even other people, even towards my boys, my kids. I was unavailable. And so this was the emotions or these actions that I was presenting in my life because the feeling of hopelessness was happening within me. And it wasn't because of my husband's use. It was because of the thought I had about it. He doesn't care. I think he doesn't care. This is how I show up in the world with hopelessness and isolation. So what is my result? My result is he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care back either. Like he doesn't care. The actual truth of it is though, is that not he, I don't care, right? Because what's going on here? I'm isolated, I'm eating, I'm exercise, I'm unavailable right now because I don't care. It wasn't because he doesn't care, because I don't care. I'm not taking any actions besides avoiding the whole entire thing because I felt hopeless, right? So here's the thing. So realizing that before I would have said that the result is, well, he doesn't care. He's not showing me that he doesn't care. He's just doing this. He's using, and my thought is that he doesn't care. He didn't tell me that. I came up with that story. So guess what? I don't care. because that's exactly how I'm showing up, is that I don't care. So right here in this situation, we're proving that my thought actually totally created my result. So my thought created my result. So it can do it if I have a different thought as well, right? So we're going to talk about that. So let's change this. Let's change this model that I just shared. Let's change it to something else. We're going to keep the circumstance the same. We're not changing it because, right, we can't change the circumstance. We try to change things outside of us, control things outside of us, and we keep on getting the results that we're getting because we're trying to change something outside of us, realizing the power is within us. So my husband uses. So what's another thought that I could have, right, besides he doesn't care? My husband uses. So what's an emotion that can come into me that would make sense? And this is what I'm going to call, I'm going to use a bridging thought, which we use, which is a little deeper dive into other stuff. But for this case, just understand that this thought is a bridging thought. So it's not the exact result that I want, but it's a possibility. So in other words, my thought is, he must be struggling. So here we go. A little different. So he must be struggling is a thought that I could believe. I could believe this thought at that point in my life. I could also believe the thought, he doesn't care. But I can also believe this one. So he must be struggling. So my husband uses, circumstance didn't change. He must be struggling. So what's the feeling I'm going to have when somebody is struggling? When somebody's struggling, I'm going to have compassion. I'm going to feel compassion towards him because he's struggling. How would I feel hopelessness? Why would I feel hopelessness if I see that he's struggling? He must be struggling. So I feel compassion. So how do I show up? How do you show up when you have compassion? So when I have compassion, I know one of the things I do is I serve. So that means I'm present. I'm serving my children. I'm serving my husband. I'm creating something. Maybe I'm doing dinner. So I'm serving because I have compassion. I also would be giving compliments, right? So an action I do is compliments. So when I see something good, I compliment it. I let them know of what I think. So I'm sharing that with them. I'm seeing the good in the world. So I'm seeing the good all around me. So I also, one of my actions is showing gratitude. So I show gratitude. So I'm going to show gratitude for everything that I have. So here's a couple of things that I'm doing, right? So I'm serving, I'm giving compliments, I'm showing gratitude. Completely different actions than hopelessness, than the thought, he doesn't care. He must be struggling. I have compassion. I show up differently. What is my result? My result, what do you think my result would be? Is he struggling? So then my result is, he must be struggling. So maybe I'm not struggling. What do you think? What do you guys think of that one? So here I am talking about this on that. So maybe I'm not struggling because a lot of the times in the result line, because our thought is only within us, like I was showing you before, right? He doesn't care is what I used. And that's what I would use before because I was thinking, well, then this is him. The truth is I'm creating this thought in my life. I'm the one generating it. So it's coming back on me. My results are always going to come back on me. It's not going to go back on anybody else. It's always coming back my way. It's pointed back towards me each time. So he must be struggling. So at the end, I'm not struggling. So maybe that's true because if I'm having compassion and I'm serving, I'm doing compliments, I'm showing gratitude, I'm not struggling anymore. As opposed to the time that I had the other thought where it was hopelessness, I was struggling. So isn't that interesting? As soon as I could turn it and see what it is going on with him, and turn it into a place where he must be struggling, and not take it on personally as though it's something to do with me, and realize I keep my street clean and I let him have his side and I have my side, but yet we can come together and I still get to love him no matter what, then I show up in a way that's completely different than I did before. And when it comes to that, right, I'm not struggling. That's an emotion, that's a goal that I wanted to obtain. And all I had to do was start changing my thoughts and start believing my thought I was having. Because, right, if you go here, that's why I'm talking about a bridging thought. If you go here and you started with, I don't, he doesn't care, and you go to, he must be struggling, there might be some bridging thoughts in between that in order for you to get to the space where you could hold that thought and actually believe it, which is really key. Because if we have a thought that we don't believe, then it's never going to matter, because you're not going to create the emotion you want behind it. So you've got to get to a point where you start to believe that. And it's not about switching out thoughts, but it is trying on new clothing, right? So we can try on new thoughts just like we do clothes. We can try them on and see if it resonates with us. And so as a coach, what I do with my clients is I hold that space where they try on new thoughts that they're creating. I'm not creating it for them. I'm giving them the space to hold it so that they can start trying on new thoughts and find things that actually resonate with them, so that an emotion can come that creates an action and a result that they want. All right, you guys. Ladies, actually, all right, you ladies. All right, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this. This is number 5 on coaching yourself and on creating that. And I hope this was clear enough for you to understand. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to message me or make a comment underneath this video, and I'd be happy to answer it or maybe give you some more clarity if I wasn't being clear enough. So these are the 5 steps that I shared. This is number 5 because, right, it's about the result. And there are different equations within this. There's tons of different topics and things that I can talk about, but I wanted to keep it as basic as I could for just the baby steps, right? So just the beginning parts of it. There might be some of you that are already like into this work that I teach and you're already kind of grasping it, but other people might not be on it yet. So I want to make sure that I give information that is clear to you and is helpful to you in your life, because that is my goal. I want to add value into this world. I want people to be inspired by hearing something that resonates with them and creates the action that they want in their life so that they get the results that they want. All right, ladies, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to making the next one on different topics because we're already done with the 5. All right, take care. Bye.